Welcome to the MotUS Edge, where we celebrate business, primarily youth sports facility management, leadership, and motivation. Co-hosted by Stacy Rowe, Cole Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and Casey Jones. We are here to fill your cup with knowledge, laughter, affirmations, and comfort knowing that you're not alone. You can and will succeed with the MotUS Edge.
Welcome back, y'all. It's another episode of the MotUS Edge Podcast. And today we are bringing you a very special treat that has not yet occurred before. It is just myself and Kevin Brubaker.
Wow.
The one and only Kevin Brubaker.
Thank goodness for the rest of the world. So I must admit, I'm really missing Cole today. I think we have a fourth partner. I don't ever get to talk to him, but I think he's out climbing a mountain in Canada or something. So,
right.
Casey, if you're on a mountain, hope to see you sometime next year.
Yeah. So after, I don't know, almost 6 months of podcasting, Kevin felt comfortable to come on and podcast with me by himself.
I think I was told that I need to be on this podcast today because Cole and Casey weren't available. So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I volunteered because Stacy told me to volunteer. So, which is fine. That's how everything works in the world of MotUS and the Cheer Expo. We all volunteer when Stacy tells us to.
They're voluntold often, gang. That's the word. That's the term I like to use. They're voluntold. Hey, I get voluntold for almost everything. It's like, we have this great idea. You're voluntold to make it all happen.
And I'm thankful. That you're told. Never by me. I don't think I've ever told you anything to do. So I don't know who's telling you to do that. So.
Too funny. So today, Kevin, we're going to talk a little bit about building your leadership pipeline inside of your gym.
Love it.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a really fun, exciting topic. So what are your thoughts on building a leadership pipeline?
So for years, I taught a class called Developing Leadership that I did through USASF, through coaches conferences, through cheer sport, through staff leadership at Charlotte All-Stars, and just taught a class about it. And so I think it's very important in the world that we live in. I think it's important when you have young adults, and especially when you have teenagers and college-age kids. Obviously, it's huge, leadership in churches. I'm real involved in our church, and so that's really important. And so if you don't have good leadership, and you don't have good mentors, then I think things aren't as good. When you do have those things in place, things are better and more organized and more productive and more positive in more ways than not.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that for me too, something to touch on is, my gym when I started out was in the middle of Nowheresville, North Carolina. The owners of Premier at the time didn't even want to put a gym there. They were like, you don't even have a Walmart in this town. Like, this is not a good business decision.
Right.
But I did not quit on harassing them. And a little fun fact, since Cole's not on the call today, or the podcast rather, little fun fact, I remember telling my husband when I was talking with Premier to try to open up the gym, I was like, if they do not help me open up this gym, I am going to be their worst nightmare. And that's pretty funny because now look at me. But anyway, we had no choice but to kind of really create a great leadership pipeline because there weren't coaches calling us to come and work at the gym. And I constantly had to seek, leadership elsewhere, and being a part of Premier, I feel like was great because that was my, they were my mentors. I had someone to look to call, to help guide me. And then we had to groom all of our coaches from the ground up, from athletes, and train them and teach them and build that funnel of staff kind of up through the ranks, which took a lot of time and effort and years of work to do. And eventually, as we got older and the community got larger and, things grew, then we would have coaches coming that had experience. But I mean, I remember the first day that somebody called me and was like, hey, I've just moved to the area and I coached, gymnastics for 10 years and I would love to teach some tumbling classes. I was like, wait, what? Like, you have experience? This is amazing. Come on.
Yes.
So I think that having that pipeline is extremely important. And I think, it's part of the sport, right? Is teaching your kids your athletes to be good leaders and how to be good teammates and, what leadership means and all of those things. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, no, I totally agree. And so I think the better your staff is at the top, and if they're developing your staff that wants to be at the top, and they're developing athletes that want to be staff, and those athletes are developing junior athletes that want to coach something, and those junior athletes are representing themselves to youth athletes. I mean, the trickle effect is pretty amazing. And so, and it's like that in a lot of sports. Ironically, fun fact for you, a lot of leadership stuff that I did at Charlotte All-Stars when I started the company, literally back in 1990, was things that I learned from my choir director in college when I was at Wingate. And I had a guy that was amazing from a leadership perspective. He was still an icon, in my opinion. But the things I learned from him and how he instructed other staff to our whole music department, how the seniors looked after us when we were freshmen, how I looked after, freshmen when I was a senior, that trickle effect, the things that we did from team bonding, the trips, the travel, the time inside and out of the choir room, the things that I learned from a leadership perspective were huge from my choir director that I formed Charlotte All-Stars on Dr. Ron Bostic. Shout out to Dr. Bostic for anyone that knows him from Wingate. But yes, the trickle effect, I think, is huge in leadership. The example effect is huge in leadership. And it goes in any organization, whether you're in church or your community or you're in the PTA or you're in your neighborhood, especially at our gyms, because we do have every age athlete. We have every age parent and grandparent that are involved. And the better that you can tackle that leadership thought process and what that looks like is better for your business.
Yeah, so I agree. So that kind of brings me, I feel like, to two different pipelines maybe we could kind of talk about here. I don't know, see what you think. But so on the one hand, as a gym owner, it's like building that funnel like you talked about. And so what are the boxes, that you need to check? You mentioned junior coaching program. So starting like actually having junior coaches. And I think that that's kind of the bottom of the pipeline. And so you want to have kids that are part of your program that want to coach, that desire to continue to be part of teams in a coaching perspective. And they're still athletes at the gym, and you bring them into that, junior coaching level. And it's hard. I know for all the gym owners out there, we're doing 50,000 things all the time, and it's difficult to make a program for everything. But ideally, in a perfect world, you'd have like a set list of expectations, and you meet with these junior coaches and you follow up with them throughout the year, or you have a staff member that's kind of in charge of guiding that program. And then from there, they become staff members. And what's the leadership and the continued education, if you will, for your staff members? That would be kind of the next checkbox, wouldn't you say? Right.
For sure.
And then from there, you're trying to take those staff members and move them into leadership roles inside of your organization. So they're leaders as, coaches, right? But now you want to move them into, let's say, a tumbling program director position or all-star director, or maybe they're going to manage your facility someday, or, maybe they'll be part owner of your facility someday. Like I started as an employee of Premier Athletics, and now I am part owner in the company. So, what does that look like for you, right? That's what I would say, Kevin, is I'm encouraging owners out there to create that line for your facility. What makes the most sense? What do you think?
Well, we have a mixture. And so I love the junior coaching program. So I'll take an example. Ari Adams has been with us for more than 20 years. She started at Charlotte All-Stars as a 5-year-old. And then when she was in high school, she expressed an interest in coaching. She was a junior coach. As soon as we could put her on payroll, we did. And she's now 26 years old. And she's one of our directors. She runs our half-year program with 170, 180 plus kids every year. She coaches our Worlds team, but she's been coaching at the gym since she was 15 years old. But she was a junior coach that we developed, that we helped groom and grow, and gave her responsibility. And she's amazing. And so, same thing. Her husband is Vontae, who cheered for us in middle school. Had a tumbling ability that's just way better than the normal tumble person in the world. And he expressed interest in tumbling, was teaching tumbling in high school, and started watching videos and started learning and started going to conferences. And we started investing in him. And a few years later, he becomes our tumbling director, and he's phenomenal. But they were both junior coaches early in high school teaching, and now they're both program directors, married, beautiful twin girls, and a huge part of Charlotte All Stars because of that junior program. And now they're 26 and 27 years old. And, they're a huge part of what we do. So it is really important that junior, and we have some, Ari's in charge of the junior coaches now, and she does their evaluations. They coach for free the first year. Depending on how good they are, they can get paid and they can get a bonus structure. And Ari handles all of that because she came from the junior coach program herself 10 years ago.
That's awesome. So they kind of volunteer, in the beginning, I guess, get some volunteer hours, and then they work their way up from there. That's pretty cool. And I think there's, hopefully there's stories like that all across, our industry. And I think it's also important to note that path isn't for everyone. And it's okay. You're going to have athletes that don't want to take that path. And you're going to have athletes that think they want to be a junior coach, and then they decide they don't like it and they don't want to do it. And coaching is not for them. And, or they think they want to be at the gym forever. And then, working at a gym and owning a gym and coaching teams every single day, it is not for the faint of heart, so people get into it sometimes and they're like, oh, I changed my mind. I don't want to do this, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side, so we have like our main general manager is Kendall Seymour. She's been on the podcast and done, we would not have Charlotte All Stars without Kendall. She's amazing. So, and she learned from Rob. So Rob Burns, old Top Gun guy, he didn't start cheering until he was like 18 years old. And he took the route of, started cheering, spent some summers working for COA, learning at Top Gun, cheered on their open, co-ed, and dance teams for years, amazing athlete. And so he was, came upon cheer late when he went, and he's owned his own gyms and dance studios, done a little bit of everything. But he used to coach Kendall when she was in high school. So her example was Rob as an athlete, as a dancer, as a choreographer. And so Kendall learned a lot from Rob. We got both of them years ago at Charlotte All Stars when they came to our gym in MotUS. And it was amazing. So, they were never junior coaches, but they both had coaching bugs when they were later after high school and college. And, and now ironically, Kendall is Rob's boss, even though Rob used to be her coach, which is, they're still close and friends to this day. But, you don't have to be a junior coach to be a great coach, because Kendall and Rob are awesome coaches, and they didn't start till, later coaching.
Of course,
after high school. Yeah.
100%. You could 100% think it's not your path. You're absolutely right. And then 6 years later decide, hey, I really miss the gym. I love it. And I want to get back into it for sure. What do you think are, some of, for any gym owners out there, like what do you think that you should be looking for in staff and athletes that are good leaders? Like, what are qualities and traits that people might have, you think, that would signify them being a good leader?
I think a couple things in the world that we live in is people that want to work, people that want to show a good example of work ethic, that want to do a good job. We've had a gym manager for 30 years at Charlotte All Stars. And I remember when Meg told us that she wanted to run the gym someday, we're like, well, we're never going to have enough money to pay someone just to run the gym. That makes no sense to me. But I remember in her early days, she would park in the furthest parking space away from the gym, walk around the parking lot, picking up every trash, every cigarette butt on her way to the door and throwing stuff away. I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. I do that. I didn't know if other people did that, but she wanted to be the gym manager someday. So from a leadership perspective, you just look at people that want to do a little bit of extra, but people that want to work are few and far between in this day and age, and that's one of the things, our staff, we have, Kendall, Ari, Vontae are all in their 20s, and they want to work. And so that's a good thing. So, finding people that want to work. And then if they really love what they do, then they feel like they'll never work a day in their life. And so I felt that way. I've been in cheer my whole career. And, people that want to work and love what they do, those make great leaders. They're great examples because they're going to do things a little bit better than normal. And from a leadership perspective, you want the example of a worker and someone who does it with integrity and someone that enjoys what they do.
I agree completely. And I think the integrity piece is super important. I think that when you find somebody who is willing to kind of stand behind their decision, regardless of the noise to me, that's a leader. Now you may not agree with that decision. So I'm not necessarily saying that leadership decision aligns with your culture. You have to have somebody that like is aligning with your culture. But what I mean by that is, I've had the opportunity, I feel like over my career to lead and see, watch people be led myself by, a lot of people. Obviously Premier Athletics, we have lots of gyms, and I found myself, making mistakes along the way. We can talk about that in just a second too. But it's easy. You have parents, and the noise, I guess I'm describing, is you have the kids, the kids want this, we want to do this, whatever that thing is. And then the parents try to manipulate a lot of times. I hate to say that. That's manipulation is a kind of a negative word, but they want to try to influence your decisions, or they want something that they want. And you want a leader that is going to make the decision that they feel like is best for the whole and not be swayed by any of that noise. And that's what I mean by the noise. Right. And that is not an easy thing to do. That is a very difficult thing to do, especially if your personality is such that you are a people pleaser and you want to make everyone happy. And as a leader, you're never going to make everybody happy. You're just not. It just is what it is. And so I think that's an important trait. I don't think that's something that you have naturally as well. So I say that to say for all of our listeners out there, just because you have somebody in your gym that is showing signs that they may be a good leader, but doesn't quite have the ability to like stand firm in their decisions yet, doesn't mean that won't change over time. I feel like you have to make those mistakes. It's like a kid, right? Like learning,
for sure.
Right. So I gave in to the parent or whatever. And that created a ripple effect of these different issues. Or I held on to this coach far too long because I didn't want to have the hard conversation to let them go, even though it wasn't working out, and after time you get stronger. I feel like you learn those things. I don't know. So I think that's super important.
Well, you brought up something too, saying about the moral compass. And leaders are not the same. They're not the same people. They represent different. And I'll give you an example because I'm type A and Kendall's type A, and we like things done a certain way. And sometimes my type A is different than Kendall's type A. So Jen gets to intervene and say, hey, Kevin, Kendall's right. We're going with that one, which is fine. I totally don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, recognizing and acknowledging that and giving people space to lead the way that they want to lead, as long as it aligns with your culture, Well, Kevin, along the lines of leadership, why don't you tell us a little bit about MotUS?
Love to. So MotUS is a community of gym owners working together to help each other grow. As a member of MotUS, you get access to our Gym Owners Vault, which includes templates for every aspect of your business. We continue to add new resources constantly. I say we, I don't hardly add anything, but Stacy and Jenna and Lee, they add a ton of stuff all the time. So in addition, you're added to the private VIP owners Facebook group, as well as the opportunity to join monthly webinars geared towards gym owners. You also receive amazing discounts from our Prime Alliance event producers, the Cheer Expo, Choice Events, All Out Brands, All Day Cheerleading, World Cheer Company, and American Spirit Championships. We also have awesome affiliates like Infinity, Cheer Sounds, Bookshop Fundraising, Spirit Action Shots, and Big Cat Sports Travel, and many more. As a member of the MotUS Business Expo Conference, September 28th and 30th in Nashville, MotUS members can come for free, and it's included in your membership. It's an awesome business conference with 2 days of business development, leadership, roundtables, and growth. The Business Expo is designed specifically with gym owners in mind. This year, we're hosting the Pioneers of All-Star book launch to celebrate the pioneers and the book. Whoop, whoop, Stacy Rowe, author. Stacy R. Fabrico, author. Join the movement today at www.joinmotus.com. That's JOINMOTUS.com. So MotUS is amazing and growing all the time. We love it. So
we're super excited. Awesome. The conference is just a couple weeks away.
I know. I'm excited. So I love Nashville. I love being able to go. It's going to be really awesome.
And if you want to come, you probably need to go ahead and register like ASAP because we're almost booked up. It's almost full.
I'm supposed to do a dad joke here.
You are.
And I can't find it. Hold on. So
scroll down.
I know.
Dad
I
joke
can't
time.
scroll. It won't let me. There it is. This high-tech stuff. Okay,
So
I got it.
Kevin thought he was ready to be on by himself, y'all, but not quite,
So,
not quite.
I read that commercial. Goodness gracious, that's the longest paragraph I've ever read in my life, I think. So, okay, dad joke. When does a dad joke become a dad joke?
When you tell it, I don't know.
When it becomes apparent.
Oh,
Anyway, that was
God.
from Barbara from Texas. Hey, Barbara, thanks for the dad joke. We love it when our fans and our supporters submit jokes. So you can send them to Stacy. That's Stacy at joinmodus.com, or you can send them as a DM on social media at joinmodus.
At Join MotUS.
Yeah,
yep.
sorry. I was thinking
And my
more,
email is stacy at joinmodus.com. No E.
That's right. No E.
No E or IE, just STACY. So yeah, we'll definitely send in those dad jokes. So we have a couple questions from some listeners. Kevin, you want to do some Q&A?
Yeah, I would love to. So
perfect. So our first question, believe it or not, is from someone named Kevin from Denver, Colorado. So Kevin is going to answer Kevin's question. When you see potential in a leader who isn't yet fully confident, what steps can you take to help them unlock their full capability?
Okay. First off, I like your name. And I like Denver. I'm a huge Denver Bronco fan, so that's cool that we got a Kevin from Denver. Tell my boy John Elway hello, or Peyton Manning if you see him, please. So the leadership piece, the steps that you can. There's so many different things, but I'll just touch on a couple things. So I do think having the conversation to acknowledge publicly the things they do well and privately the things they do well. Having that conversation, you can get them to feel more confident when you're sharing good ideas with them on things that they did good, and helping them grow as they build confidence in those things that they're doing. People like shout outs. People like to be attaboys and pats on the back, especially when you do it publicly in front of their peers or in front of their clientele. That's always a good thing. I think the second thing you can do in clarifying their strengths in talking with them. So, their strengths might be different than what my strengths are or another leader, but you want to be able to focus and help them understanding what their strengths are and letting them recognize that it doesn't have to be the same for everyone. We talked about this a minute ago. There's not a cookie cutter form for leadership. It can be different for different people. And I think the third thing is, and I learned this from Kendall, is providing the feedback. So there's a couple of podcasts out there on feedback that is really awesome. And I think the good, the bad, the ugly, and the awesome, all that feedback is really great for anybody. Catch them doing things well and help them understand the things that they're doing well, and the things they don't do as well. Correct them with kindness and confidence so they can build and grow on things that they can improve on to become more effective and more confident through their leadership. And so I think those are the three things, for me that come to mind about, helping people feel confident and helping them be able to reach full capability from a leadership perspective.
I agree. And I don't think I really have anything to add to that, Kevin.
Well, so. I did think of two is, we all, I think as people, I think all of us in general struggle to celebrate the little things sometimes. Yes, when you do well at a competition, it's, great to celebrate that. But sometimes just, Kendall says, hey, let's celebrate the small things. I mean, what are the things that you won today? What are things that you won at practice? What are things, and the same thing with leaders. They need to celebrate the little things. It's okay to not, you can be a great leader and a great gym owner and a great business person and never win worlds and, not be the best, at your sport, but you can still be really good and be a really good leader despite some of those things. And so I think celebrating some of those small wins is really important that people lose sight of, because the big picture is sometimes unrealistic, but there's a lot of victories along the route that I think people need to celebrate, especially from a leadership perspective.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
okay. You want me to take the next question?
No, yeah, let's do it. So this is from Sophia in Miami, Florida. For Stacy, how can you tell the difference between someone who's good at managing versus someone who truly has the qualities of a great leader?
This is a great question. So thank you, Sophia, for submitting the question. I have never been to Miami, so I can't say that I love it or hate it, but I know it's really hot. And my niece lives out there.
We're going to Fort Lauderdale next May. So
we are. Yeah, so I'll be close. My niece lives in Boca Raton, so that's kind of close-ish, I think, right? So, hey, Mac, if you're listening, that's my niece's name. And my husband's a huge Miami Dolphins fan, so that's what I have. So I like the Eagles, though. I don't like the Dolphins. So unfortunately, Sophia, I got nothing for you, but I do have an answer to your question. So the difference between someone who's good at managing versus a good leader. So I think that it's important to understand the difference between management and leadership. And I think management is just what it says, right? It's making sure that the job is getting done. It's checking the boxes. It's keeping everybody organized, keeping the wheels on the bus. Managers can be great people and they can be great leaders in their own right. But management is more doing. I feel like, if that makes sense, or doing and making sure that others are doing. And then I feel like leadership is more about inspiring people to do more than what they feel like they're capable of, and doing the hard things, I feel like, so that the other people in the group can do what they need to do and be focused on. So I think that's kind of the biggest difference. And it doesn't mean that great leaders aren't also doers, like Kevin said, like he would walk around the parking lot and pick up the trash. I would take the trash out at the gym all the time. I'd be the first one in the bathroom to plunge the toilet. So it doesn't mean that great leaders aren't also doers, but there's a very different, your focus is very different. The focus on the manager's focus is more on the daily operations, the things that need to get done, checking the boxes. The leaders, I feel like, are more focused on the vision for the future and where we're going, and lifting everybody up with them and bringing them along as they lead. So that's kind of what I think about that. I don't know. Kevin,
have you ever had an example, Stacy? Let me put you on the spot. Someone that was a good manager, not as good a leader, or maybe vice versa, someone that was a good leader, not as good a manager. Would you give an example of that type of person?
Goodness. So I think that I've probably employed some folks that were, I'll say this.
Okay.
I would say in most gyms, because you know me, Kevin, like I don't want to, I love all my people. So
you work about Casey. He's not on the call.
Right. You work with me or for me, and you're my people, and that's it. Like until the grave, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so I would say that office managers are often amazing managers. They are great at managing a lot of things. They are great at having conversations with the staff a lot of times and pointing the staff in the right direction when they have an issue. I mean, it's like a school secretary. I envision I feel like our office managers in our gyms a lot of times are like the school secretary. They can manage so many different things, and they do it brilliantly, but they're not necessarily the leaders. It's driving the gym in its forward direction, or where it's going down the road, or, the person making the hard decisions all the time. Right. But they're a phenomenal manager. And so I think
great example.
Yes, just in general, that's just kind of a general. And I've been blessed to have some amazing front office managers, and they're great at what they do. And they're leaders in their own regard, but they're not leaders like we're talking about leaders. Yeah. Not always. I mean, that. So that would be my best example.
Okay.
I think we have time for one more question. You want to do one more question?
Sure.
Okay. So this person says, hey, MotUS Edge. This is Priya. I hope I said that right. I'm not really sure. Priya. Maybe it's Priya.
Okay.
From Chicago, Illinois.
That's where I was born.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
What role does mentorship play in turning good leaders into exceptional ones? And how do you know if mentorship is working effectively?
Okay.
That's a tough question.
Yeah. So good one too. And I mean, I love Chicago, except for when it's cold there 11 months out of the year. So the wind is real. That Windy City thing
I
is
have been to
legit.
Chicago. I've been to the American Girl doll store in Chicago, and they have the bean, right? That's in Chicago, the
Yeah.
big bean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
sure. So I would say the role, we'll do the first part of that question, the role for members, helping them be good leaders into exceptional ones. I think understanding the perspective of, looking at the big picture, if you zoom out and you're looking from really far away to see what they're doing leadership wise to help them become exceptional. And when you zoom in on some of the qualities they have and trying to nitpick, I don't want to say nitpick, that's not, but a positive way of helping them understand the things they do as leaders to help them get better. And so I think sometimes zooming out and zooming in from a leadership perspective, you're looking on the things they do well, the things they could do better, things maybe they don't do as well, and focus on maybe they either improve that or maybe that's not their strength to be able to work on. I think also that one of the biggest things for good leaders becoming great is building their confidence and supporting them. Sometimes I might believe in that person more than they believe in themselves. And so letting them understand what I feel like their strengths and weaknesses are and helping them be able to gain perspective of that. And I might be, I'll give you an example. I had a team captain years ago on Teal. She was going in her senior year and she was just a worker and just a great person. But she was not about wanting to be the leader piece. But after I talked to her about it and explained it to her and encouraged her, she literally became one of the best team leaders ever and winded up coaching and winded up being an amazing person. Now she's a top realtor and sells real estate and is amazing. But I think part of that coaching her and believing in her more than she even believed in herself was a big part of how she became an exceptional leader. And then the second part of that question was, how do we know if the mentorship is working effectively? Well, I mean, you can tell because of the growth and the self-awareness that they have on the things they're doing better. The confidence they have within themselves. They're effective based on the results of how they talk to people, how they are investing into other people, staff, athletes, how they are viewed by other people. If the mentorship is working because of where they are spiritually, mentally, physically, and how much they improve in life because that mentorship has really affected them in a positive way.
Yeah, I think that mentorship is important for every single person. I think all of us need a mentor of some kind, whether we are in a leadership role or not. I just think having a mentor is extremely important. I mean, and a mentor could be your parent. It could be your brother. It could be a coach. It could be a teacher. It could be a pastor. It could be whoever. But I agree. I think that mentorship is, I think it's something that is extremely important for everyone. So something that I've always wanted to implement in our gyms, which we haven't done, but is anytime we have a new hire, we assign them a mentor in the gym that is somebody that's working on staff that they can go to and ask questions and just be there to help guide them and support them. And it's something that I've talked about forever that we haven't done. So I'm making a mental note for myself to revisit that opportunity, and let's see if we can figure out a way to pull that off inside the gym. I think that would be great. All right. So we ready for our quote, Kevin?
Okay. Simon somebody, right?
Yes. Simon somebody. Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek, yes.
Simon Sinek, he says the quote for today is, "Don't show up to get, show up to give."
Oh, you know what I think? I love that. You know what I think of?
What do you think of?
So I grew up in Wyoming, and there's nothing more beautiful than a glacier melting into a mountain lake that has streams that flow into the rivers and that you can fish out of, and it's amazing. And there's no swamps in Wyoming because the water is flowing from the mountain down. And so in North Carolina, we have swamps everywhere. And so I think of a swamp because the water is stagnant. There's nothing flowing in and there's nothing flowing out. And so it becomes stagnant and stale and smelly and lots of mosquitoes and nastiness. And so when I hear this quote,
I am hot and itchy now. Thank you.
When I hear this quote, I think of a swamp, and swamps are no good. And so when I think of this quote, I think of a mountain lake that has things flowing into it, and it's growing and getting bigger, and has water lines and rivers and streams flowing out of it, which is helping, the whole area and territory because of, it's coming in and coming out. So I want to be that mountain lake. I don't want to be a swamp.
I think that's a beautiful analogy. I actually have always preached in a lot of lectures I've done and different things like that. I've always talked about deposits. You have to make deposits into your people, and you as the leader should be continuing to deposit into everyone around you. And sometimes you have to take a withdrawal, and that's what happened. That's just life. Sometimes you do have to take a withdrawal, but if you have given enough deposits, then there's money, then there's room to withdraw. But if you're constantly withdrawing, if you think of it like a bank account, mine is not as eloquent as a swamp. But if you think of it like a bank account, if you withdraw all of your money, then you're withdrawing and you're in the red. And now you have to not only, recuperate the negative to get back to zero, but then you have to even do more to get back into the positive. And so I've always kind of thought about that in my life. And I don't want to be in a position where I am in the negative. I am in the deficit. I want to always be, in the positive and constantly depositing, into those around me. So very same thought and feeling on that. Just you had a much more eloquent way of expressing that.
Glacier lakes in the mountains of Wyoming are better than a swamp
versus the swamps in North Carolina. And I'm over here with my deposits and my withdrawals.
I think this is from see my shirt. Oh, it's from Great Falls, Montana.
So, not Wyoming.
Still, it's pretty there too. So,
well thank you guys. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I am blessed that, I know people listen to us, and yes, we are friends, myself and Stacy and Cole, and I'm really good friends with Casey. Just don't tell anybody. But I love the fact that we do encourage each other in life, in our gyms and our marriages and our kids. And, and we help each other with all that stuff. So it is a blessing to work with people that are really
and Kevin, I think that's a great point. I think a lot of times people look at a mentor as somebody who is above, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have mentors that are kind of in a different part of life or ahead of you in life. If that's, I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but I think that, with us, with the four of us, we mentor each other constantly, and we are friends and we're business partners. But, like I had an hour-long conversation just the other day with Casey about children and raising children. He has 5 kids and he's got more experience than I do, so I went and I asked him questions about it, Kevin and I have done the same, as has Cole, and so a mentor can be anybody. So I think that is a great point, and I value and appreciate all of our relationships as well, and just the help that you guys have given me. So there you go.
Awesome, good stuff.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed our podcast today. Be sure to follow us on YouTube at the MotUS Edge, and give us a follow on social media at Instagram, X, or Facebook at Join MotUS. And wherever you listen to your podcasts, if you like what you're doing, give us a shout out and leave us a review. If you want to hear more, let us know. And hey, if you're a gym owner, join the movement. And if you want to come to that conference, you better sign up today because we are running out of room. Go ahead and sign up. We'll see you soon. Thank you guys so much for listening. And we are excited for you to have the MotUS Edge. Thank you all so much.
Bye. God bless you.
Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the MotUS Edge. We hope you had a blast. Join us next week for more on business, leadership, and motivation. Subscribe and follow the show where you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our newsletter at joinmotus.com. The MotUS Edge Podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.